So, with a title like this, I'm sure you expect me to come up with a bunch of statistics on leadership. So don't worry, this is not going to happen. I'm not talking about Steve Jobs. I'm not talking about Mark Zuckerberg. They're not here, by the way, so it's not interesting. And instead, I'm going to try to grasp your attention on something very different, something that I created, in fact, which is a leadership model. And the name of the model is DoertoLeader. So I'd like to start by the why part. Why did I create this model? And the first reason of this kind of creation, it's my clients. So who are my clients? My clients, they are those middle to upper managers in large complex environments, in large companies. I'm sure we have a couple of managers here, by the way, I think this morning, yeah. And so, tell me if I'm wrong, you guys are in charge of very large transverse projects in organization, strategic projects. And there's one thing interesting, you also drive large teams most of the time. And the reason why you were hired in that position most of the time is because of technical skills, like you have experts in IT, compliance, sales, but most of the time, you have not been chosen to those positions because you're managers, because you have management skills. So people like me come in the equation to help you bring on your leadership skills, on your management skills. Because, by the way, this is on that you want to make a leverage in terms of performance. So my thing when coaching people is about how can I help them leverage that dimension and step out from their expert position in order to really fulfill their mission in those large transverse organizations. And I did not find something that I could apply as an actionable model for those people that need to onboard very quickly also. And also for those people who do a lot of informal management, which is the most difficult type of management. Because you have to work with other guys in the company, but you're not giving the bonus at the end of the year. You're not really in charge, like direct management, but you need to rely on them to really succeed in your missions. So this was the first reason why. How can I help those managers really equip them with those leadership skills that really can make the difference? So first thing. Second thing is all, again, connected to my clients. So most of the time, those managers, they are overwhelmed. So I don't know, well, sorry. So when I say overwhelmed, no. I'm overwhelmed here. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this was yesterday, right? And by the way, it's a vision of work that doesn't take place today. Today it's more that. So I'm talking about before we were in horizontal chains of work, and today managers are more vertical people. And when I say they are overwhelmed, I say that they need to do a lot of different things, but well, and they are going to be judged on results. So I don't know for you, but for me, being overwhelmed doesn't go with being fulfilled, being happy, experience well-being. I mean, what do you think? Do you like it being overwhelmed? Do you know when you have 5 emails every day of your life that are not treated, when you are in the middle of meetings, non-ending meetings, and being always on the top of things? So this is something very not fulfilling in terms of happiness. And so that's the second reason why I wanted to create a model. How can I create something that increases the level of well-being and happiness of those managers? So equip them not only with leadership skills, but also with a new mindset, empower them to be more in control. So here we go progressively, not being in these doer shoes, but being more in, I'm in control of what I'm doing, so I feel more like a leader and I feel better. So this is the second reason why. And I started to explore my model, this thing that I want to come up with the 6-factor model of psychological well-being of Carru Riff. And I wanted to find something that will go with that. And so I thought that personal growth is something that managers, of course, want to achieve in the course of their work, their mission in the company. So maybe I can come up with something that will help them grow in direction. Purpose in life, meaning in their professional life. Environmental mastery, so if I want to be in charge, I just want to understand how I can master my environment, give them more autonomy, a sense of more autonomy, like I can make it by myself, but also in relying with others, but with clear boundaries. Create more positive relationship with others, and with an idea of more self-acceptance. So this is the why part of that model. So how can I help them, equip them with more leadership skills and feeling more happiness and fulfillment at work? So this is the baseline. Third thing is, I think it's my part of a coach to try to bring new ideas, new way of things, reality at work. And so also I thought that trying to put together a model was part of my mission as a coach, because when I have a model in front of me, I can gain more self-awareness and I can put together an action plan. And so I wanted something simple and very actionable. So this is the why part. And before I go with the model and the baseline of the model, I'd like to ask you a question here. So what is the one word you associate with the word leadership? Sorry? Energy, yeah, absolutely, yeah. What else? Sorry? Love. Why that? Interesting. Oh, yeah, I love this idea. Great, okay. What else? Others, yeah, okay. Direction, yeah. Courage, yeah. Control, absolutely. Strength, yeah, I love it. Stress is what? Yeah, absolutely, giving space. I like that very much. Valeria? Self-control, yeah. Okay. Leading by example, I love it, yeah. Transformation, about change, yes, absolutely. Can you repeat that? Sorry. Absolutely. Vision, yeah. Trust, absolutely. Those are really great words. Okay, I want to come to my vision of leadership, even though that makes total sense. So, for me, leadership is consciousness. So, it covers everything that you said. Vision is consciousness. Trust in consciousness. Why consciousness? And consciousness is the baseline of the model that I created. Consciousness means that when I do something, I do it with a purpose in mind. So I mean that, and let me go to this representation of the doer and versus the leader. What's the idea here? This is my perception of the world. So there's the world out there for my manager, for whoever, manager or not manager. And this first step is very important because I process that through my conscience. And if I don't go through that first stage of the process, then I will not have time to perceive my environment, and so my action will not be adequate with, this perception that I have on my environment. And I want to take an example here, which is actually not in the corporate environment. I want to take the example of a mom of 3 children. Anybody has children here? Okay. So if you guys have 3 children, and if you apply the same behavior with your 3 children, like, you have recipes, like in education, we do that and we don't do that. We parent, we know, and you apply the same type of behavior, you're not going to be very effective as a parent, right? Now, if you see yourself here, and so you think about what is my perception about this little one in terms of emotional reactions to things, or in terms of, fears, or in terms of character, personality, and then, you process that through your consciousness, and you're going to behave differently with this one, and this one. And there you become not the mom like with recipes, but the leader of, your children in terms of, I understand who you are, and my action is going to be directed by that, right? So this is the baseline of that model. And the mom, at 6 p.m., when it's the rush, bath, homework, dinner, so she's going to feel like a leader. She's in control because she stepped back, and she knows where she's going. And if she does not do that, she's going to be challenged. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing coaching since 12 years in organization, and it's 6 p.m. for managers every day. This is their reality. Managers are on the rush all the time. So if they don't go through that conscious process of perception of that reality, meaning I'm not doing without purpose, but I know why I do things. And sometimes they're like, so you say that we don't know why we're doing things. I say no, but my model, the idea is to help you step out from this doer position and help you do things on purpose in order to experience more happiness in the workplace. So I was talking about mother. Now, you all heard about the burnout situation in the workplace. So why people are burned out? Because there are so much doers. So they do so much without having the resource. We have this graphic here, this person talking about the flow. I don't know where she is, by the way. It was you? No, but you talked about the flow, and I really, it really opened the door, because challenge, skill. Instead of skills, I will put resources. If I have a challenge that really is over resources, then I really become burnout, because, I cannot even stop doing things because I'm rushing so much doing things that I'm totally burned out, and that's very frightening, by the way. So we have a lot of burnout situation in the workplace. And, HR director and people in management know that very well, that it's a big risk in companies. And I think that also it's very cultural to be a doer. I mean, we have a lot of societal pressure, since we were little kids, like we are judged on our results more than on our way of doing things. The more I do, the better for me. And sometimes it reassures us, I'm ticking the boxes. We feel good because we achieved a lot of things. So we have a kind of cultural pressure about doing always more and more. So this is also something that I observed a lot in organizations. And also because managers, when they step back from doing things, they feel sometimes at risk. So even if we all know now about the virtue of meditation, let go, getting a more thoughtful attitude, we all have that type of pressure of doing more. And me too, by the way, okay? Because I'm the same. And so I also learned from my own model somewhere. So saying stop to action and using more consciousness is very challenging for all of us, I think. But actually, that's what managers need to do in organization, because at the end of the day, doers are not really promoted in organization because they are seen as doers and not as future leaders. So all this pressure to do it's a kind of self-prophecy that leads you somewhere nowhere. Because in fact, the more you do, the less you are seen as a future leader for the organization. And so it's a never-ending process. So the first baseline of this model is consciousness. So how can I really perceive what I'm doing and be able to step back from this doing kind of mode? The second baseline, it's just, and here again, I'm just throwing that to you because I'm not a psychologist, and this is a totally experiential model. So please, be indulgent to me. But actually, you will see that I already had a couple of very interesting results. So the second baseline, so first is consciousness, is the observation that I have of behavioral patterns that go against being the idea of being this doer. And the first pattern is around delegation. People generally don't delegate to others. And here again, I'm not talking always specifically about managers. I'm talking about something that we don't like to do most of the time. We want to do all by ourselves. I don't know for you, but more specifically when we have the pressure. Okay, I'm going to do it all, because with that, cool, I don't rely on other people. I'm sure it's going to get done. Here we are. So most of the time, managers don't really use their team like a resource. When they have pressure, they do it all by themselves. So why? Because fear of losing power, because lack of technique, because they don't really trust other people, because they don't know their people sometimes, and because they think that the time they have to explain things, it's more useful to do it by yourself. But they're wrong. And I think that, and I did a lot of research on that, and I can give you the source, of course, but successful people delegate everything that they can. And they leverage 100%, and they know it's not going to be perfect. But when you see great leaders, here again I say that I will not talk about great leaders, but when you explore leadership experiences and great leaders, you see that they delegate everything that they can. And with a better delegation, you achieve higher results because you manage your priorities, because you drive action plans versus doing everything by yourself, because you engage your people and with higher level of motivation, and you train other people. So first, behavioral pattern, delegation. So if you want to stop doing as manager, start by delegating much more to your teams. Second, behavioral pattern that goes into the equation of this model. Most of the time, we don't really know ourselves very well. Here again, it's cultural. We don't rely on our strengths because first, we take our strengths for granted. So we don't focus on them because it's here. And it's also cultural. We get used to more focus on what is going wrong, not what is going right. So most of the time, we don't really know ourselves, and actually, even if research shows us that the more I rely on my strengths, the happier I am. Yes, I think we talked a lot about that during those 2 days. So when you know yourself, you maximize your relationship with other people. You know your own limits. You develop your emotional intelligence, and this is something that definitely a manager who does informal management needs to have. How can I motivate someone to work on my project if I don't connect emotionally with that person and not on the results first? I don't know if that makes sense, but this is something that really we want to consider as a manager. Third behavioral pattern that helped me brought up this model together is the fact that we're reluctant to ask for help. There are enough positive psychologists here, so I'm not going to teach you around that, but very often we don't dare asking for help to other people. We don't dare because we think that we are going to be seen as weak, because also we know that asking for help activates in our brain exactly the same area of physical pain. We experience like the idea of threat, uncertainty, rejection. So research shows us that. And here again, we are totally wrong. And actually, research also shows us very different things. And in particular, that when you ask someone his help, he loves doing that. And he's going to give you much more than what you ask. So asking for help is very important for a manager, because with that, he's going to be recognized as an expert in his own field. And he's going to build a network, which is crucial for his mission in large corporations. Fourth behavioral pattern, and then there's just another one, and I will show you the model, because at the end of the day, that was the idea. But this is important to talk about that first. The vision. So if you ask to the person next to you, what is the vision that you have regarding your job? I don't know. Or maybe someone can answer or want to answer. What is the vision of what you are doing every day? Not the mission in itself. Not, I am coaching people. But the vision is more the why part. Anyone else?
Adding value to people's lives.
Wonderful. I love that. Adding values to people's life. Great. Excellent. Can you say that, please, more louder? Oh, great. Wonderful. What else? Who else wants to share his vision of what he does? So it's an area of thinking for all of you. The higher your vision of what you do, so maybe some of you have their vision and they don't want to share, but the higher you have this vision, the best you're going to be at a technical level. There's no contradiction, there's really convergence in that. So when you have a clear vision of what you do and why you do things, you're going to feel much more performer. And here again, vision inspires. Vision will give courage and faith when you're in turbulence zone. If you have no vision, we're all going to have problem together. And it also gives cohesion to the team, of course. And I want to say that it transforms any boring job into an exciting opportunity, because all together we know why we do things. So here I am with my consciousness idea of what can I do for those managers in order to help them step out from a doer mode with those patterns that come from my experience, and I'm sure that also you were aware of some of them. So how did I brought this model together? And so this is the actually, and I forgot one, which is around taking time to think. Sorry about that. Which is an important also thing. A lot of people that I'm coaching, they never really take a time to think about things. So I want to bring up this idea of Barack Obama, who was reading 4 hours per week when he was a president. So that can also open ideas of, we don't lose our time when we do something else than our mission. So here's the model. And so what happened to me is I took this idea of consciousness and I took those 5 patterns, and I said, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I know that, of course, this is not rocket science. I know that all the managers that I'm coaching are not here. They're not all doers and just leading just 1/4 of their time, of course. And I know that then the idea is not that they all go there, because this is just a representation of possibilities. So if I see myself in a doer mode like this, and well, what can I do to change that? Maybe I can create a vision along with my team in order to really set up a direction. Maybe I can try to really get things done by others and delegate more to my team. So just a quick example. A director of line of product in a factory will be more a doer, right? he needs to be on the operational things every day, okay? And the CEO of an international company of 30,000 people, guess what? He's better using superior leadership skills. But if the CEO never goes back to real world sometime, it's not going to work for him. So here as well has to think about sometimes what is the details of the operations, because I need to understand the basic things of my company. And the director of the product in the factory, he needs also to use his creative thinking abilities, step back from things, be able to ask for help to other experts and things like this in order to continue to grow in the company. So this is not at all rocket science. It's just a model in order to say, hey, where am I? Can I get more help from other people in the company in order to grow in the company? And so I started very empirically with my clients. So existing clients, so those managers in large corporation. And I came up with a lot of action plan around that. And they like that, and they start to drive, to draw lines and graphics. So look, I did that during that week, and I improved my leadership skills in doing that and that. And so that gave me the idea, so I'm going to create an assessment online. And my leaders take this assessment. So along with a group, a psychologist, a statistician, and a linguist, we did put together a questionnaire. And so now this questionnaire exists, and people take the questionnaire, and they are a rating from 1 to 4 on each of the dimensions of the model, and the average gives them a result in terms of their leadership ability at large. So from L1 to L4. So L1 or L2 will be something more action-oriented, and a L3 or L4, more a leader using superior leadership skills to accomplish his mission. And so you have a rating in each of the dimensions of the model. So I didn't bring a report, because actually when you take the assessment online, that also gives you a report with who you are. So John Smith, you see, he has these results, and we can you do action plan on small steps. So it's small steps because, of course, I don't want people to be here and to imagine that they need 3.5 to come to the 4. So the idea is that all the statistic dimension allow people to have a good appreciation of themselves. Like people are very sensitive to 1, 2, 3, 4. So the idea is more the margin adjustments in order to improve on each of these areas. Any question on the model? Yeah. Is it self-report? Sorry? Is it self-report? No, it comes to me, and then you receive your report. But you take the report yourself. You don't get 360 feedback from others. No. It's exact. No. It's the report. So you do the assessment online. So it's in French and in English. So actually, I did 84. We have done the team 84 assessments so far. So just to share about the results, because I'm pretty much proud about the results. First of all, I have a good convergence in terms of results. So the clients that I knew as being more leaders than doers, actually, and here again, it's very empirical, they really come up with L3 or L4. I know it's the beginning of a process, but I'm very enthusiastic to share in front of the community, like people like you, those first results, and hopefully, we're going to do better and better. Also, the convergence between the 5 factors, the 5 key factors of success is good. Someone who has a vision most of the time also delegates, and most of the time, ask for help and everything. So there's a good convergence in terms of results and promising results in terms of how I can continue to use that model. So I do coaching session around that, a specific approach on leadership, and I do a lot of workshop along with a colleague. We do a lot of interactive workshop with managers in order so they take the assessment online, and so it's small groups of managers, and we work around the 5 dimension of the process. I think that's now the end of this presentation. Just a last feedback. Sorry. No, okay, so we don't do that. I just want to say that our areas of development is around the 6-factor model of psychological well-being and how we can integrate much more this dimension into our approach. So this is something that we really want to focus on. And so thank you for your time. I'm really looking forward to create more conversation with you guys around that model. And I just want to do my conclusion, because I love my conclusion, by the way. Because I love conclusions all the time. Because first of all, we say, oh, it's over with DoertoLeaders. Okay. No. Do you know Brother David Steindl-Rast? He's a monk. Do you know his philosophy of happiness? So it's like when we teach our children to cross the street. So you know what we say? We say, stop, look, and go. So that's my conclusion for you guys. Okay. Thank you.